Okay, so this is just going to be a quick demo of the Toronto City Transit delay, the junior version. I know I've made videos of this before, but this is hopefully going to be a more compact video. If I'm aiming to keep it under 10 minutes, hopefully 5-6 minutes. So some of you have probably seen the video, the really long one of the deluxe version of the Toronto City Transit delay, which I'm just going to be referring to as the TCT delay. This is the junior version. So stripped back, doesn't have all the knobs or switches, but it does have basically the core delay sound and everything in it. So if you just want a basic stripped down delay, this can handle all those basic delay duties. So you have, well, here's the blend control. So you turn it down and no delay comes through. It's basically like a volume pot for your delay signal. You start turning it up and the echoes come through. When it's all the way up, it's just slightly louder than your dry tone. Okay, turn that down a bit. This one is the feedback control, or your repeats control, which does just that, controls the amount of repeats. Don't turn it up too high or this will happen. Or do turn it up high, because that can be fun to play around with the feedback and the oscillation and everything. All the way down is just one repeat. And this is the delay time. So goes to like, I think it's roughly about 20 milliseconds. All the way up to somewhere around 550 to 600 milliseconds. As you can hear, it gets darker and dirtier, a little bit noisier when you have it turned up to longer times, but in a good way, all in a good way. It's a digital delay, but it's voiced to be analog sounding, somewhere between analog and tape. And because it's the delay chip is programmed to do that kind of thing, you can do this. And it doesn't have trails, so it does continue after you turn the pedal off. Or, well, the sound doesn't, but then it's still internally doing that, so. Take note of that. But it's easy to get back to a clean sound, just roll back the feedback control. I tend to like it somewhere here, or further back for like a slap back east, or sorry, right here at about, so what's that, 9-10 o'clock for an almost slap backy tone. maybe a bit less time. Or you can do a more traditional slapback style tone by rolling back the feedback to 1. And turning up the level. If you turn it up past noon, maybe around 1 or 2 o'clock, turn the repeats up a bit. Then turn down the mix somewhere there so it's just behind your dry note. So anywhere from there to maybe a bit longer. Try close to 3 o'clock. It's pretty nice for getting that like dreamy ambient David Gilmour style echo. If I put some fuzz on before it. That was a bit loud, but you get the idea. That fuzz, by the way, is one that I really need to get a video done for. The AFF, which is a fuzz face style circuit, but with a whole bunch of internal controls that you can really shape the sound with. But back to the delay. So yeah, you can get those dreamier textures. And then, like, this doesn't have tap tempo, obviously, but, you know, if you get good at it, timing it out, like, none of the older vintage delays that sounded so good had tap tempo delays, so I don't feel bad about not being able to implement it yet or anything. I do hopefully one day want to add it, but, you know, like David Gilmour, The Edge, basically anyone who did rhythmic stuff with delays, delay parts in their songs. Anyone who did any rhythmic kind of stuff had to time it out and do it that way, so it's good for you, it's practice. And then last thing I want to show you are the kill dry switch. Basically, that just kills your dry signal for, well, you can use it to play around with, because it is kind of cool if you, it's not practical by itself, but it's cool to play around with just the echo sound and get used to playing only hearing your echo. Actually, it is a little bit useful at lower delay times. It does have a different texture than yeah, it does have a different texture than at lower delay times than when you have the dry going through. But the real reason I put it in was mainly if you have a wet-dry rig or a wet-dry wet rig, you have your dry signal go to 1 amp, and then to another amp or two, you have your wet delayed signal, and basically this allows you to turn that off so that you just have the echoes going to your wet amps, or wet amp, however your setup is, and basically just lets you isolate the dry from the wet a bit more, so that you have more control over the spread of your sound, which is cool. Like, it's different from a traditional stereo thing, although I do intend to work on a stereo delay in the future. But if you don't like it, don't use it. That's pretty much it with the switch. Although it can be useful or fun to use. And then the very last thing, is this knob, which is level control. Basically just adjusts the gain on the preamp stage of the delay circuit. So before it splits off into your dry and delayed signals. And if you turn down the delay, the mix level, it's essentially just a boost. So it's fun to crank into overdrive, or use it as a boost to push your amp harder, kind of like how people used Echoplex tape delays or that kind of thing. You can easily use it to add a bit of grit to your delay sound, or to push your amp, or use it as a boost. If you turn down the mix, it's just a straight boost, or you turn it back up and it's boost with delay, which has a nice, actually not nice, nasty, but in a good way kind of tone, because remember, a lot of classic recordings, before people decided effects loops were absolutely mandatory, had like tape echo units going into cranked amps, so it's not necessarily the end of the world. It can actually be a pretty cool sound. But the most practical reason why that's there is simply because this delay design, because it's sort of in vintage style design, even though it's uses a modern delay chip, a lot of delay pedals overload very easily, especially with hotter pickups. So that's just there to allow you to adjust the input level. So if you have like a lower output guitar, like a single coil Strat or a Tele or something, you can increase the level a bit, so you can have it at unity gain. If you have hotter pickups like humbuckers or even active pickups, you can turn it down, and it'll it'll simply just match up your levels better. So even though it's fun to use to get more grit and everything, its actual purpose there is to adjust to unity gain going into the circuit, so that you don't get too much gain or clipping. But it can take it. It's so if you do want to crank it up, by all means try it out. I haven't tested it as of this moment, but I've gone over the schematic many times, and this should be good to work with 18 volts. As soon as I've tested, I'll add it in the description that it works. But for now, just use it with 18 volts, or not 18, 9 volt power supply. It doesn't have battery supply in it because it took up too much room. So yeah, just normal 9 volt power supply. Although it should, emphasis on should, work with 18 volts. Anyways. That's the TCT Jr, the Toronto City Transit delay. Yeah. If you're interested in this pedal or any others I make, contact me at tomfreemanaudioeffects@gmail.com. Visit the Tom Freeman Audio Effects Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages, all of which you can find through some variation of either that or or TF or at TF Audio Effects, or just search up either of those two. You should be able to find it. Yeah, hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification buttons if you wouldn't mind. That'd help out a lot. Make sure you see the latest videos I put up, and that's about it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and hope you enjoyed the sound of the delay. And be on the lookout for future posts from me. I have big things in the works, especially with design. I'll spoil it right now. I'm working on getting graphics made up, so hopefully you won't be seeing plain bare enclosures for too much longer, or at least with some of my pedals, so be on the lookout for that. Anyways, have a great day. Hope you enjoyed the video.